Amen. Catherine, your turn. You and I did a TV show together and did a thing at the very beginning of the process, this incredible award process that goes on and on. And at that time, we were joking about the fact that your next picture is a relatively modestly budgeted picture in South America, in Central America. After all that has happened, tell me that you're asking for at least 3 times the budget of that picture.
Well, actually, on the contrary, that project is still in process, but I think to retain control, you need to keep the budgets as, or at least, certainly my experience is, the more modest you can keep the budget, the more control, more creative control you have. So I think the game is really about creative control. And you know, on the other hand, yet if the ideas are so challenging and so, you know, extraordinary as Avatar, that is a if it's modest for those ideas. You know what I'm just saying that
we could use a lot more money to make that.
In the New York Times again today, there was a piece discussing the fact that during this process the last several months, you have deliberately not taken a position on the war in Iraq or the war in Afghanistan. And they put it, in the end, the gap between beliefs about war and the reality is too wide for any movie to capture. Does that express in a way why you did not take a part of it?
Well, I personally have a very strong point of view. I think war is hell, but I think it was very important. This is an ongoing conflict. This is not, it's not like I'm making a movie 10 years after the conflict had closure. And I thought it was very important as a filmmaker to take an even-handed position in showing the horrors that these men experienced. And that was, I think, what was the overriding, prerogative.
Yeah. Jim, one of the biggest fights I ever had was with Francis Coppola over Godfather 2, because he said, I don't believe in sequels. I've done the original story. I can't top it. Now, Rupert Murdoch glibly announced that he's already anointed a sequel. How do you feel about sequels?
Well, there's still some deals to be made. Which will be easier now that Rupert's announced it. Well, look, I've had good luck with sequels. I think Terminator 2 in a lot of ways is a better film than the first one, if for no other reason than we had more resources and I actually, got to make the movie that I wanted to make completely. But, I think there's an art to sequels, which is that you have to be, at the same time, make the audience comfortable and in familiar territory, and yet play against it with constant surprises. And yet those surprises have to be not so off the reservation conceptually that they are now not enjoying the experience they thought they signed up for, And that's a trick. I did it with Aliens and I did it with Terminator 2. So I feel, and plus I have a story arc for Avatar already mapped out. That was part of the pitch. Part of the pitch to the studio was we're going to spend a gazillion $1 million making this world. It will then reside on a hard drive and we can resurrect the characters, the creatures, the trees, the mountains, and everything kind of, with a switch. It's not quite that simple, of course. It sounded good in the pitch.
So Lee, I've got to ask you, and the subject of creative freedom, which Kathryn rightly raised, you had this amazing experience, the dream of every filmmaker, that you went to an investor came to you and said, I will pay all the bills of your picture. Was there artistic interference at any point?
No, never. I just come with my guns. I'm not laughing. I'm laughing.
I must say that in the awards process, you have given the most eloquent and original acceptance speeches. And I was going to give you an award for the best acceptance speeches. And you also wrote Monique's, because she's pretty damn good too. Did you prepare that? Did you think about it? Or did this just come from the heart?
comes from the heart. It comes from my experience with my fellow panelists, and that is the inspiration. I'm very, very honored to be up here with these geniuses. So when and that's not a joke. That's from the heart. And so when you're really nervous because you're looking at someone that has done the likes of Terminator, he spews it off. Oh yeah, and Aliens too, you know. But in Terminator 1, but Titanic. Okay, here we come, the precious. You're like, you know, and or the likes of you just can't. So you just speak from your heart.
But, Mr. Doctor, sir, when I saw the first 3, 4, 5 minutes of Up, I thought that was such a perfect picture that I would have been tempted just to say, stop there. You have captured an amazing... Was it actually a discussion of releasing that separately at any point?
No, there wasn't. I mean, this was a tricky film to get going because it was such an unusual idea. This idea of an old man flying his house was, you know, we pictured ourselves in LA trying to pitch that at studios, and you know, I can't imagine what that would be like. But that's where I'm lucky to work at Pixar, and it was really that sequence that kind of landed it. When we were able to pitch that and get our bosses, John Lasseter, to cry, then we knew we had something. And you know, that's always the heart of everything we do, even though they might be about bugs or cars or monsters or whatever. We're always trying to find some connection to us as humans, to, you know, express the human condition and put that in some way that you haven't seen.
And in picking the voices, did you change the characters at any point after the actors were chosen for the voices?
Yes and no. I mean, what usually happens, this has been the case on every film from Toy Story on, is that we'll design the characters first, and then we grab little snippets of dialogue, just the audio, from other pictures that these guys have been in. And we play them and we look at the pictures and we go, yeah, that sounds like the right guy. So that's, of course, with Ed Asner, it was perfect. With other folks, Christopher Plummer, once we cast him, the character did change. We always try to write to the strengths of the actor. So Plummer brought this sort of rich, educated kind of an angle that we weren't necessarily originally intending for that part. But yes, they definitely changed the way the characters come off.
Todd, there have been so many legends in Hollywood about a director who makes a picture that's confoundingly bigger and more successful than he imagined and freezes. Do you have your next project all planned out, and do you feel any inhibitions about the fact that there's no way of topping $1.5 billion or whatever The Hangover made?
No, I mean, I do think that for me, I already shot the next film. We just finished about a month ago with Robert Downey and Zach Galifianakis, who are in Zach's in The Hangover. And for me, it was actually the opposite. It was like, let me just go back at it, because I didn't want to, and I have friends who are directors some who have had huge successes, and they said, just don't let it get you gun shy, because again, you know, for those of us up here, we make movies because we love making movies. The money, whether it makes some, you know, I've had ones that don't make money, I've had some that do make money, that's never the reason, so you don't want that to affect your decision process. For me, I'm constantly surprised that I am able to get paid to be a director, so I feel like I just keep going. I love making movies, so I got right back. I mean, we were prepping, this movie's called Due Date, we were prepping Due Date while, you know, The Hangover was first coming out in theaters, so we just went right into it. So yeah, so